What's up, everybody? Andrew here, and this is the Tennis and Bagels podcast. This week, something really cool happened with Rafa Nadal reaching the quarterfinals of the Madrid Open. He's beaten really good players in Alex de Minaur. He also went on to beat Joao Fonseca, and he ended up suffering a pretty expected loss to Yannick Sinner today at 6-2, 7-6, which I thought could have been tighter, but also he did really well, all things considered. And all credit to Sinner for saving all those break points that he did. I think it was like Jodar might have been like some 0-7 or 0-6 on break points. And some of those saves were, he played extremely well, but just Sinner just showed up and played like the world number one and just saved those break points. So yeah, but before the focus of this video, I just wanted to focus on just really the hype and the social discourse on around Jodar and around Fonseca specifically, especially because they played this week and they're the youngest players on in the ATP 100, ATP Top 100. They are the only teenagers there. Fonseca has had a lot of hype since last year, and Jodar is kind of showing up this year with his own brand of hype. The point is necessarily to say that all comparison is really not beneficial. I think it's just really not great to take this week and put a player on a pedestal and just say that the other is just complete hype. One of them being obviously Jodar and the other being Fonseca. I think they're both great players in their own right. I think Jodar might be a little bit more complete. I think he has a better return. I think his backhand is also a little bit better, but I also think that Fonseca has a better forehand. He has, I would say, better touch and just a better running shots. I think he might be a little bit more on that category. I think he's more able to turn defense into attack, but they're very similar in just how much raw talent they have. They are able to generate pace off of both wings. They're able to dictate points in their own way, and they have strong. In general, they have strong mental, a strong mental game. They believe in themselves. They believe that they can win, and they are big learners as well. But why I don't think that comparison right now, especially after the Madrid and Barcelona runs from Jodar, I don't think that they are very, beneficial. Is one, the contexts are just slightly different from the both players, right? Fonseca has already had like a full year on tour. He's already won 2 titles last year. He's already made it to the third round in every major that he's played, I think. At least he's won at least one match in every major that he's played. This year, he's had a little bit more expectations than him, just saying like, that's now his second year on tour. You had a taste of it. Now what's going to happen? What are you going to do? And he's ended up facing Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Alexander Zverev, and most recently also another top 10 in Ben Shelton. He lost all of those matches. But we are basically expecting when is he going to break through? Whereas Jodar is mostly just coming up and just playing essentially with no pressure. He's getting there and just playing his best and shooting his shot and just riding the wave of momentum that he has of being in the big stages for the first time in his career. And so I think playing in front of his home crowd in Madrid after playing really well in Barcelona, especially now that Alcaraz is not even playing, I think that he really enjoyed being that new young hope of Spain right now. I think that's something that's actually a good thing for him as well. If he enjoys to be in the big stage and he enjoys engaging with the crowd and he enjoys being there and playing the big matches, that's going to be a good thing for him in the future. But also it's something that we're going to have to see whether it stabilizes. Players also are facing him for the first time, so they don't have as much data to go off of. They haven't explored his game all that much. They haven't seen other players beating him as much, so they would be able to figure out ways to counter his best shots, really. So I think that's not really a fair comparison for him and Fonseca right now, especially if you just take the match that they played this week. And I also don't think it's very fair for Jodar as well to put him on a pedestal right now, because he's very young. Like, players doing really well at 19 years old, 20, it's not that common. Let's just say it that way. If we are taking players like Alcaraz and Nadal, they're the record breakers. They're the record setters. They did things that are amazing. And you are not expecting every talented 19-year-old to do this, to do the same. Alcaraz's rise in the rank was just an amazing feat. It's something like a 1 in a million. It has never happened before. Hence the reason why he's broke records such as the youngest player to win all 4 Grand Slams, the youngest player to finish to become world number one and finish as year number one. These things are not something that can be replicated as easily. So it would be unfair to put this much pressure on Jodar to be that player right now. So it's really good that he's enjoying that moment right now, and we'll see what is going to happen later when he's going to face a little bit more tough losses, when he's going to, not be as much of a favorite in other places, when he's not going to be in his home crowd anymore, right? Rome is around the corner. Who knows if the crowd is really just going to be for him at that point, right? So, and then you're going to be transitioning to grass. Like, how does he play on grass? Those are all good questions that we need to ask ourselves. And then also on hard. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he develops. I think that he's a very strong player. His game is extremely transferable. But I really want to see how he does. I really will be excited to see what he does towards the end of the year. And looking back, what has happened and the wins that he's got, I really believe that he's onto something here. But it's not all to say that, oh, he's just gonna drop out of the top 50 and just gonna be like a nobody soon enough. That's not what I really would want. That's not exactly what I want to say. It's just really just to, let the player develop, let things happen in his career, let him find more of his own brand of tennis and find other solutions when things are not going probably so well for him, right? So there are going to be days where he's not playing well at all, and he's going to have to deal with it. Just talking a little bit about the Sinner match, one of the reasons I really think that he's going to do well, and I think this match was pretty important for him. It took Fonseca, for example, a whole year before he actually was able to face Sinner, and he ended up facing the entire top 3 almost back to back in back-to-back weeks. But the match that he played against Sinner was just really good for him to feel the pace, just feel the energy of the world number one, feel the just how much pressure Jannik is able to put on his own serve and on the return side, of just how many great shots Jannik is going to force him to play, and how many points he's going to lose because Jannik is just going to be the better player. And a lot of this happened in the breakpoint opportunities that he's lost. And then in the end, I think he just kind of ended up succumbing to the pressure of Jannik Sinner, especially in the tiebreaker. He was missing. He missed like something like 3 or 4 backhands long. So he wasn't able to keep that intensity going. But learning that this exists and this is the pace that he's going to need to follow up with is what's going to turn him into a better player. I think Fonseca has had that opportunity. It didn't translate as nicely into the clay court this year as some might have expected. I probably expected him even to beat Jodar. I was not necessarily sure that he would, and ended up obviously not winning. But I definitely thought that he was going to have slightly better results in the Masters. Obviously, Rome is still coming, so he's got good chances, and obviously Roland Garros as well. But for Jodar, I think is going to be really important. And if he can build on that one, he might even follow up those results right back in Rome and whatnot. So yeah, all that's to say is just going to be really interesting. I'm going to definitely be following this guy, and I think everybody should as well. When it comes to Fonseca, I think that the context of his career leads me maybe to believe that he even probably was expecting to have played better this year. He probably was expecting to have already a big win this year as well. He's only a top 10 win came against Rublev, his first match against a top 10 player, where he ended up obviously winning that one in 3 sets. In the Australian Open last year. He hasn't made a big win like that. He's played good matches this year. He's beaten several good players, but he's still pushing for that one top 10 win. And I think he might have waited on him. I think that was a bit of the hype that it's tough to run away from, right? So it's everywhere. People interview him. He probably still sees some of that on social media as much as he probably tries to stay away from it. So but it's something that he's going to have to deal with, and it was a disappointing end to the match with Jodar. I don't think that really settles who's the better one between them. I think there's going to be a lot of game to be played before we are able to really say with confidence, or a modicum of confidence, that one or the other is better. But for now, I think that what he needs to have to work on is just, why did he have that meltdown in the third set? He played a good second set and he won a 6-4. He played a good first set and he lost 7-6 and came back to win the second set 6-4, which I think was a really good demonstration of just how good he is. He was able to deal with Jodar's relentless defense and the ability of Jodar to put balls back in play. And Jodar's return was really good, and he was able to deal with all that and win the second set. But he crumbled in the third. What kind of pressure was he on? Under? I don't know, but that happened, and he's going to have to work on that one and have it not happen again. But so that's really the only hiccup. I don't think that the loss was necessarily bad. I think Jodar, as I've mentioned, he's been riding a lot of momentum, playing in front of his home crowd. He's just really developed every shot in the game already. So he's been, just really connecting on court. So I don't think that loss was necessarily bad. I definitely saw that a loss could have happened. I wasn't really shocked by Jodar winning, but I also don't think it was an amazing match that he played all throughout. I don't think it was a loss that you could say, oh yeah, you did all you could. I think that the fact that he played the third set and he played so badly, and he just couldn't really lock back in and just fight for it. I think that translates into something that he shouldn't be excused, and he shouldn't necessarily look at it and think that everything is fine. That's why he needs to work that on and make sure that if he loses, it's because the other guy just took it from him and not necessarily because he was just too frustrated or something. But of course, this is going to happen. It happens in everyone's career. There's no professionals that can bypass that. It's just, we're all human beings. It happens. And just because he also lost that match, because he wasn't able to take another top 10 win, it also doesn't mean that he's not going to become even better towards the end of the season, right? As I said, it takes time. Like, not everybody can be Alcaraz. In fact, just almost nobody can be like Alcaraz and Nadal, and even Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic wasn't even as incredible as a teenager as Rafa Nadal. Roger Federer took quite a bit of time before he actually broke through. And so all these guys were there and just started playing really well. So there's a lot of time. And even if they end up not being all-time greats, they still are able to look forward to their careers. And if they're not able to break through right now and just really be amazing, there's still all of the Medvedevs and all of the Pat Rafters and Stan Wawrinkas. Even Andy Murray took a long time before he was able to get to his Grand Slam title and get to number one. There is still time. They're only 19 years old. And so at the end of the day, Madrid has happened for these two. What happened in Madrid happened. So it's something that they can look back into and see what did they do well, what did they do not so well, and how do they build off from this. And the good part is that there is still some good chunk of clay season to be played, and there's a lot of tennis to be played in the summer as well, in the northern hemisphere, in which I think Fonseca can really rebound well in Rome. I think he can hopefully get a draw that allows him to go a little bit deeper and just get a bit more momentum going. And same for Jodar. I think he's going to be able to go into Rome and with a new perspective after having faced Sinner. And he might be even better at that point, might even have figured out things that he didn't know he needed to do, that he needed to work on, how to get better so that he can, next time that he walk on court facing Sinner, that he's prepared for that one now. And I guess same for Fonseca. He already faced Sinner, he already faced Alcaraz and Zverev, so maybe might even be working on like how to get to that point again. And towards the rest of the season, I really am hoping that we are able to see them facing each other again. I think it's going to be a very interesting match. I think we are going to be able to get more of how they're developing as players throughout the year. Fonseca's second full year on tour and then Jodar's first. What are they going to do about it? Are they going to be even better? And towards the end of the year, maybe there's still another Masters 1000 that they are going to be able to push through and maybe even win. Who knows? Like there's Shanghai, there's Canada Open normally has been a little bit less stacked with top 10 players because of how the tour is structured. So there's still some really good chances that we can see them doing well as well. So it's those are two players that looking through the hype and putting all of that aside and all the hate aside as well, we can see, and all of the putting them on a pedestal aside as well, we can definitely see that there is a really bright future for those two guys. And those are prospects that I think we should all want them to be getting better and not worse, because there's a lot of people complaining already about just how boring the ATP is right now with just Sinner and Alcaraz. And I think that's probably part of the frustration why Fonseca wasn't able to break through yet, is because we've been kind of promised a new big three with Fonseca in it, and it just hasn't really happened yet. But it might take some time. Sinner himself didn't turn into himself for quite some time. He wasn't as good back then, and then he had a breakthrough in his career later on, and then he turned into what he knows that he is right now, right? So recency bias can be really difficult to work with right now, especially on the social media time where attention spans just last for like 3 seconds. And I think it would be really interesting as well, by the way, if they're both still 19 years old, they could still play in the next gen ATP finals if they so wish to. I don't think Fonseca is going to, unless he has even if he has a terrible year, I don't think he plays in the next gen ATP finals again. But Jodar might still go back, right? He didn't win last year, and who knows? Maybe he decides to go back in there and just claim the title for the first time. And I think that it'd be really interesting to see him at that point at this stage. He's currently leading the next gen race, so yeah, who knows? I don't think that this is gonna happen, but it would be good for the tournament if he did. And so I also think we need to talk a little bit about hype, especially when it comes to young players who break through really early in their careers, or just players who end up doing something really awesome. And I think that the social media language is just really poor to treat these people. I think that is either the best shot ever made or the best run ever, like the most incredible 19-year-old they will ever see, and just like hyper focus on somebody. And tennis is really cruel. Like it's week in and week out. You win some, you lose some. For most people, you lose way more than you do win. And I don't think that this is beneficial at all to the players to get all of that in their heads. So yeah, the social media discourse, it can be fun if we're just like having some loose banter as well. I like to make some wild predictions here. I said like maybe Sinner could post in like the greatest season of all time. This is obviously conjecture, right? Like it could happen, it could not happen. Like what do I know? Like this is not something that anyone can predict, right? But it can get super toxic online. There's already a ton of players saying that they're really trying to not be into that world and not seeing as many comments. It's been a problem even for like YouTubers for a long time, just like seeing hate comments on there. And it just, when it comes to tennis, it just really becomes all this crazy fandom sometimes where, so X player, he's never wrong, or X player is terrible. Like there's so many comments on Fonseca just saying that he's only hype, right? And then Jodar is like the real deal. And this is not beneficial for either player. As I said, like Jodar, he can't benefit from being expected to win and be an amazing player week in and week out. It hasn't really been good for Alcaraz either. Like it's just so much pressure that he's faced to go on and win every tournament that he plays and just being like the real number one. It's not great. And the pressure that Sinner is on right now to, win Roland Garros and probably also to win Rome the next Masters, right? And so hypest trends and recency bias can really screw up our perceptions, and it can really mess up with a player's career if they end up seeing too much of this and just having way too much pressure from every possible angle. And it's also important, I think, to put into perspective just what is in a player's career and just what is a really big achievement and what is a good career in general, right? So we have a really good case in Emma Raducanu, for example, who won the US Open as a qualifier in 2021. She didn't really win anything after this. Like she had a ton of coaches and was like losing some, winning some. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of what she does for the rest of her career, she's still a Grand Slam champion, right? So it feels really unfair to just really chalk something up to hype or just a fluke. And these things happen. And when you put hype on somebody just because he has a good 5 months or a good 2 months or a good tournament even, and just you expect them to become the next greatest thing ever, it's just not good. It's not fair. And they're just human beings. Like we are prone to fail. We are prone to do some good here and then not do so well later on. And players are obviously no different. They're complicated people. They're complicated human beings as well. They will have frustrations. They will have things that are outside of their control that, that they can't foresee. Some things are unexpected. And, you can't expect people to just be great from the get-go or be great all the time. I think this is maybe a point that wasn't necessarily so good about the big three era was because they just lasted for so long and they were just so good for so long that we kind of ended up losing sight a bit from the fact that not every career needs to look like their career. Not every successful career needs to have 10 plus majors and 100 weeks at world number one to be considered amazing. And so it's so early right now in the Jodar and Fonseca's career that I think that just really comparing in any way, shape, or form with the big three, it's completely out of the question. And even comparing Sinner and Alcaraz, what they're doing right now, it's not fair either. I think we're still going to have to see what they're going to have to do for the remainder of this year and next year even. And maybe by the time that they turn 21 and 22, they're going to be posting the results that we might be expecting them to do now. Or maybe they won't, and that'd still be fine. Like, it's okay. Like, just don't go on hating on a person just because they didn't win a tennis match, or, just let them live their life. Just the fact that they're even there right now is massive. Sometimes on tennis Twitter or with some mutuals, we like to say that just being in the top 100 is a monumental achievement, and it is because if you think about it, how many tennis players are there? There's only 100 players in the top 100, and that's not a lot. And the fact that they're doing this at 19 just proves that while the hype is unwarranted for the fact that you could say, oh yeah, they're going to be the next Grand Slam champions, they're the future of tennis, which I think is extremely bad language to use on this situation. But the hype is also warranted because they are there and they're getting all those wins and they're great players. So they're great players, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of them in the future. I'm sure of it. And yeah, just hope that they are not really reading much of social media or even watching videos like this. I don't think that a professional tennis player should be even watching fan videos like mine, because I think that they need to focus on what they're doing and get help from people who are close to them and not from social media. I think whatever this Coco Gauff saw on Threads that helped her finish points at the net, I think there's a case in a billion that a social media comment would actually help a tennis pro do better. So yeah, this is all just fun and games, and hopefully it just stays like just fun and just good talks on social, and just watching tennis and being entertained by these guys. I think it's the best thing that we can do, so that they take their time to develop their games, to find out how to fix their weaknesses or to hide them, and to maximize their strengths so that they can achieve whatever potential that they have to achieve. So yeah, I would say let's watch Jodar and Fonseca with a lot of curiosity and a lot of excitement, because I think they have great things ahead of them, and let them develop. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.